We all have big dreams and callings that we've probably been prophesied over, or you know your calling because God has told you. But maybe you question yourself saying, why not a pastor? Why not a minister? It's the same thing. It's literally the same thing. Or maybe why not a missionary? Do I have to be, is my calling inside a church always? Well, from what I know, from what I've seen, from what I read in 1 Corinthians 7:17, we all have different callings. But this calling, this purpose, which is honestly more important than our calling, is more important. And this is to love Christ and to take up our cross. That's our purpose. To carry our cross daily and to receive and to love Christ. Our calling is actually a fruit from that. Because if you try to do your calling without carrying your daily cross, or not loving Christ or receiving his love, it's gonna fall apart. If you saw my video back then, the one before this, the why matters more than what we do. So if you didn't do it for Christ, you know what, as a matter of fact, that's why you see people that, they rise up like celebrities. They rise up, they get this big hype boost, and they just fall off. And you never hear about them again. If what you do is for Christ, you don't have to worry about any of that. Because you're not doing it for fame, or you're not doing it as for yourself. What you're doing is actually for something bigger than yourself that will actually help people for generations to come. So why you do it is more important than what. If you want to see more of that, look at the video before, which should be titled, Why We Do Things is More Important Than What We Do. See the heading in my Bible, it says, I don't know if you can read that. It's underlined right above it, live as you're called. And you know what, just to make sure that I'm not reading something just to add it to my message and support it, right after it says, and so do I ordain in all the churches, was anyone called while circumcised? Let him not be uncircumcised. Was anyone called while uncircumcised? Let him not be circumcised. Circumcision is nothing, and uncircumcision is nothing. But keeping the commandment of God is what matters. Wow. I'm underlining that. That's beautiful. That each one remain in the same calling in which he was called. So, we all have different callings. Well, that is up to you to figure it out. That's up to you to figure it out. Talk to the Lord about it. Talk to your pastor. Pray about it. Because your calling is no light thing. So, honestly, I won't say it because it's for me personally, but from what I have been called to, I doubted many, many times. And because I desired it. I desired to do my calling. Back then, I had such a passion for it. And I doubted because you know how sometimes you have to deny yourself to follow Christ. Not realizing that sometimes the Lord puts desires in our heart. He puts some desires in our hearts. And the only way to figure out if it's from him is honestly, does it go against the word? Is it a sin? Is it leading you to sin? If that desire is leading you to sin, then the sin doesn't have to be lust, all right? It could be idolatry. Like you could be desiring this thing so much that it replaces your time with God. You get your identity, your validation, you get everything from it. It just becomes your idol. Things like that, they're not from the Lord. That's why, honestly, I had to figure this out as well. That just because you think God told you that's your wife, it's probably not. Because if you start obsessing over this person, I don't think God would reveal your wife at a time that you're not ready. It just wouldn't, that's just not a God thing to do, you know? God will reveal your wife, your actual wife, your God-fearing wife, when the time is ready. When that is, I have no clue. But when it happens, you'll know. But yes, we all have our own different callings. Maybe yours could be being a dad, becoming a dad, just being the best dad you can ever be. Becoming a father, just not just your children, but maybe a father to other kids. Like teaching them to the kids that don't have any fathers. Just being there for them like a pastor would. And you don't have to be a pastor, as a matter of fact. You could literally just be their father, their spiritual father, as a matter of fact. I don't know. You could probably be called as an usher. Like, there are literally examples in the Bible where people are called to build stuff for the Lord. I can't remember this specifically, but there's this one guy in the Bible that his calling or his purpose was to build something for God. And he was really good at it. And he was called for that. And the prophet said, this guy is called for that, and I am called for this. Or prophet, priest, whatever. I don't remember well that story, but I do remember that he had his own calling, and the other guy had his own calling. We all have different ones. Just like David was called to be king, and Jonathan was called to be his brother at that time. But honestly, I keep looking at it, this verse that I just underlined, and it's absolutely beautiful. But keeping the commandments of God is what matters. If God commanded me to do this, that's what matters. If God commanded you to be a shepherd for someone, to be a pastor for someone, to be a leader, to be whatever, keeping it is what matters. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you try to become a pastor and then you're not called. At the end of the day, God, it won't be built on a solid foundation. And it will crumble. And God won't care because you just didn't keep his commandment. The message is short and sweet. Remember that your calling could be extremely different from other people. You have your own talents, your own giftings that God gave you. They're not your own. God gave them to you. You have a personality that no one else has. You have traits that no one else has. And God wants to use you to reach certain people. Like I personally, I can't reach to everyone. I'm not everyone's cup of tea. It's just the way it is. And and you might be their cup of tea. So God might be using you. So remember, everybody's calling is different. Don't be discouraged. If you're not a pastor, if you're not up on stage in big lights, just keeping that commandment is what matters. And as always, stay strong.